everybody, and welcome back to another little discussion on a math problem. We're playing around with ChatGPT once more. I've been having a lot of fun doing this, asking some questions, some common things that come up on a lot of online discussions. And one of the ones that comes up a lot, especially when I'm looking at order of operations problems, is, I might explain the fact that you've got to solve parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication or division left to right, and then addition and subtraction. And a lot of people will say, well, you don't do that when you don't have parentheses. You just solve left to right. You don't do the multiplication first unless there's parentheses around the multiplication. So we're going to ask ChatGPT. It says, if an expression does not have parentheses around the multiplication, such as the following problem, 60 plus 60 times 0 plus 1 equals, do we just solve left to right? Let's see. No! When an expression does not have parentheses, the order of operations still applies. According to the order of operations, PEMDAS, once more, I always have to do this. I always have to mention that PEMDAS is just an acronym for the order of operations. There are other acronyms. There's people who have learned the order of operations never using acronyms because these are a little bit newer things. I don't even know how many decades, it may be the past century. I don't know exactly when those were created. There's PEMDAS, BODMAS, BEDMAS, BIDMAS, GEMS. I don't know. There's other ones. They're just acronyms, so don't get confused about that. According to the order of operations, multiplication should be done before addition. So in the example you provided, 60 plus 60 times 0 plus 1, here's how you would solve it. Multiplication first. 60 times 0 equals 0. Now the expression becomes 60 plus 0 plus 1, and then you add from left to right. I could add 0 plus 60 plus 1 if I wanted to. It doesn't matter, left to right. You're going to get 61. So, even though there are no parentheses, the multiplication still comes before the addition. In accordance with the order of operations, you do not solve the expression strictly left to right, but instead follow PEMDAS. And again, if you're from the UK, it's BODMAS. It's all the same thing, same answer. You prioritize multiplication over addition. And now I might want to ask the question, people will say, well, why does multiplication have precedence over addition? Why would that be? Well, that's a good time to ask. All right, says multiplication has precedence over addition in the order of operations for a few important reasons, which are rooted in both the structure of arithmetic and the need for consistency in mathematical expressions. And here are the main reasons: historical and conceptual foundations. Multiplication is a form of repeated addition. Oh boy, if anybody has been subscribed to my channel for any length of time, you've heard me say that one over and over and over. Okay, and I didn't get it from ChatGPT, by the way. I actually do have an education. I do have a bachelor's degree in engineering, so I'm good. But multiplication is a form of repeated addition. When we multiply a number, we are essentially adding that number to itself repeatedly. For example, 3 times 4 means adding 3 4 times. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. This relationship helps explain why multiplication is seen as a more intensive operation than addition, and it is natural to perform multiplication first in a sequence of operations. And then number 2 is consistency in arithmetic. Without a set rule for the order of operations, mathematical expressions would be ambiguous, and the same expression could lead to different results. By prioritizing multiplication over addition, we ensure consistency in how mathematical expressions are evaluated. For example, in the expression 2 plus 3 times 4, if we did the addition first, as in here, okay, good. Yeah, you put parentheses around the 2 plus 3, and then times 4, right? That equals 20. You'd get a different result than if we followed the order of operations and did the multiplication first. And in this case, you do the multiplication first. 3 times 4 is 12. Then you add 2 and you get 14. And so that's why when you have an expression like 2 plus 3 times 4, you should know that the answer to that is 14. You are doing the multiplication first. Now, the only time you wouldn't would be if you had parentheses around that addition. Then it's perfectly right to solve that first. Point number 3, they make mathematical structure and efficiency. Multiplication is faster and simpler in large-scale operations. That's why I like to call it a shorthand for repeated addition. When solving equations involving large numbers or complex algebraic expressions, it is often more efficient to perform multiplication first. This keeps the calculations more structured and prevents errors or inconsistencies in more complex problems. And point number 4, the need for hierarchical operations. In expressions involving both multiplication and addition, treating multiplication as a higher priority operation ensures that we respect the hierarchical nature of mathematical expressions. If we did addition first in every case, it would change the fundamental way numbers interact with each other. For example, in the problem 3 plus 2 times 5, that 5 looks a little chopped off, 3 plus 2 times 5, we need to multiply first to get the correct relationship between the numbers, which gives 3 plus 10 equals 13, rather than 15 if we added first. It's also logical flow. Boy, they go into a lot of detail. If you consider how these operations relate to one another conceptually, multiplication is seen as a more complex compound operation than addition. Addition is a basic operation of combining quantities, while multiplication can be thought of as scaling or distributing quantities, which is why it's typically performed before addition in most cases. And when we say most cases, it's going to be done before addition, unless you have some parentheses that tell you to prioritize the addition first. All right, so yeah, that goes into a lot more stuff. I'm just going to go to the conclusion because this is going on quite long. Multiplication takes precedence over addition because it is conceptually considered a more complex operation, historically rooted in repeated addition, and ensures consistency and clarity in mathematical calculations. So again, keep in mind, this is not a law. I see a lot of people say, well, the order of operations is a law. That's not, a law of mathematics is something that's solid. This is a convention, but it's a universal convention that everyone has agreed on, because we can't have, this being different. It's kind of like the railroad tracks. I think the width of the rails was based on the axle size of like Roman chariots. Like why did it come out the way that it did? There's a lot of things that are just kept the same for consistency over time. And I believe I'm correct on that and that historical reference. So you can double check me on that. But again, that kind of goes through and explains that question. So hopefully you've got enough information that if you're looking at this online and someone mentions the fact that, well, the order of operations doesn't apply because there's no parentheses, you've got a little bit of ammunition here to work with. So hopefully that's been helpful. Hey, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing if you haven't done so already. Got that little subscribe button down on the lower right of the video. And I look forward to seeing everyone in the next video. Take care. Have a great day.